We are live in the Element Well studio. It's hour 3, the afternoon portion of the program. We're pleased to welcome now Gordon Thames, real estate developer, President of Arbor Properties. Gordon, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you, Jordan. Thank you for having me back.
You bet. You bet. So we are approaching the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. I think most of us who endured that, we're in the state of Mississippi, would say that just seems like yesterday. Anytime you have a major event like that, a milestone, in this case a tragic catastrophe, you don't soon forget it, do you?
No, and to us at Arbor, it's you're remembering the tragedy, but what we're really kind of celebrating or pushing forward is the idea that we are moving forward and we came back better and together, and it's a continuing rebirth, if you will, because there's still projects we're working on who got hit from Katrina and just hadn't rebounded yet.
Yeah. But, I remember going down there a couple of days, after the storm went through. My wife from her family from Biloxi, just a block off the beach there.
Yeah. And
the house was level. Fortunately, we got her mom out of the house before that happened. But the devastation was a sight to behold, and you just couldn't imagine, man, how will we ever get this thing returned to some semblance of what it looked like? But I would have to say it's way better than it was, right? It's been rebuilt bigger and better.
I would agree with that, and we've certainly, on each paycheck it says keep making it better, but you had to have a vision and some intestinal fortitude, but we're coming back better. Projects we're still working on. Some of them, had a genesis from the Katrina thing, but in each case, I think the properties we've rebuilt are better than they were before the storm.
Yeah. And
it was really transformative. Made me a better person. I'm not sure I'd want to sign up for seconds on the therapy.
Yeah, I get it, but man, that certainly just in my visits through the years, it just keeps getting bigger and better all the time. The coast is certainly a gem for the state of Mississippi, and a robust, thriving economy, and lots of upside in the future. And in fact, one of those is a project you've got going on. Talk about that.
Yeah, I met with the mayor of Gulfport yesterday. Hugh Keating, a nice breath of fresh air there, but he told me they've continued to experience population growth in Gulfport, and we're working through all of the permitting processes, but one of the oldest golf courses in the nation was called the Great Southern.
Yeah.
And we're retaining the name, but we're remaking it as an upscale, community that will house, I think, 484 homes ultimately.
Okay.
And it gives productive young people, middle-aged people as well, an opportunity to have a nice neighborhood and a nice home that's new, modern, storm-resistant on high ground on the coast.
Okay.
So a lot of those opportunities now are north of the interstate, but yeah. I believe that a lot of the reason people move to the coast has something to do with the word the coast, right?
Yeah, I think that's right, exactly. Beautiful views and scenery, and lots of great shopping and amenities, just a lot of good stuff going on down there.
What is, and it'll get better as you bring that many homeowners. That probably going to be 1,500 people living in those houses.
Wow.
That all of a sudden are in an area that right now is just a fallow field.
Okay. So, Gordon, do you foresee that this will attract new residents to the area, or would this be that would move into those houses, or existing residents perhaps making a move, transitioning, and then opening up their houses for new residents to come in?
I think it's going to be a healthy mix of both.
Okay.
But I think it's a real opportunity to improve the neighborhoods around it because, as you said, they may trade in old Betsy.
Yeah.
And a younger couple can enter at a price point that's not available on the brand new product.
Okay.
And then they fix it up. And this is kind of a story of revival and rejuvenation that goes on in cities around this country.
Interesting. So as far as concerns about being located where you're perhaps in a storm's path, which has been a concern, I think, across the coast of this country, what do you say about that? How do you address that?
Well, one of the natural features of the Great Southern, it sits on some of the highest ground on the coast, and I think the houses closest to the water, the existing elevation's about 16.5 or 17 feet, and the last knowledge I had is you need to be at 21. Well, what that allows you to do is get there with a nice brick skirt and have a very traditional Gulfport Southern style home instead of having to go up on big tall poles and park underneath it.
Yeah.
Which we think will be attractive, and it gives them the elevation they need.
Okay. And, of course, this is good for the city and the entire coast economy as well, right? When you're bringing in residents like that, they're investing, and from the construction phase to everything that happens after that.
That's correct. Your sales tax, your additional economic base, 484 homes, I believe it is, and price range right on the water will be a little higher than the rest of them.
Yeah.
But nowadays, a starter home's $400,000, so the math adds up pretty quickly as to the and across the board, really a positive. Schools, your banks will be smiling. It should be nothing but
good
a positive
for everybody.
That's how I look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So, how long has this project been in the works, Gordon?
We've been working on it about 3 years now. There's some folks that live around us that some people, I get it, they call it NIMBY. Some people just resist change.
Sure.
And I think if they had a vision, and our experience in the past has been some of those people that resist change will end up being homeowners there. but at this stage of it, explaining that to them is, a little tougher.
That makes total sense. So, tell us about the HOPE campaign, HOPE. What does that acronym stand for? What's that all
the HOPE
about? campaign
was after Katrina. The place was devastating, and I thought it brought out the best of about 90% of the people, 5% or so said, this is too tough, I can't handle it. And there's a small element, almost criminal, that's 3% just tries to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
But it stands for helping our people endure.
Okay.
And we did T-shirts, we had food trucks, we did everything we could. The nice thing about a situation like that, the coast south of the tracks got reduced back to a very primitive level very quickly, like overnight.
Okay.
There were no banks, no money. We had to I'd drive over and order cash on Tuesday and come in $50,000 of cash underneath your floor mat, and I'd never make payroll the same place, but it's kind of like the old railroad, where you'd meet them and had to pay people in cash,
Yeah.
Got through that without getting mugged.
What else are you seeing, you're observing just on the coast in general from a business economic development perspective that's going on? I know this blue economy is absolutely booming down there as well.
Yeah, for us, we are in the luxury apartment home and housing business, so we are loving the sound of additional people moving into Gulfport. That's where this project tends to be located, real close to the line between Gulfport and Biloxi.
Yeah.
But at our apartment communities down there, business is good, and I think that one goes with the other. People are considering, should I move to Gulfport or should I move to Mobile or whatever, young couple. Well, having an attractive neighborhood, having better schools, these sorts of things are your building blocks, in my opinion, to generate that kind of growth.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. So, in fact, are you seeing people that perhaps looking to settle in the coast area that are from out of state, that are looking to make Mississippi Gulf Coast their home?
I would answer that yes. We see it. Our apartment communities tend to be more luxury, higher-end apartment communities, but you have people coming both with the military, and we have a lot of gray hair in our communities where people are relocating for various reasons. But I think the Great Southern will also be attractive to your productive young couples that maybe have two incomes and they want somewhere nice to live, and it's a lot nicer to live on the coast if you can kind of feel like you're at the coast. Right now, some of those opportunities don't exist, but I think they're coming.
Okay. So, no secret, housing affordability has been an issue that has gotten a lot of attention across the country in the private sector and in government. Your take on that, is this a problem? $400,000 is, I think, the median house price in the country these days, right?
If your mindset is still a 1960s that everybody gets out young and buys a starter home nowadays is $400,000.
Yeah.
I think for a huge segment of population, one of my children told me the other day, for our generation, it's like if we could get a house, we might be 40 or 50. Well, to me, your luxury apartment home renting is your new starter home for a lot of those couples.
Okay.
It affords that access, and they get a lot more for their money. Ultimately, when you segue into the purchase market, there are some very efficient builders there, your DSLD Homes, Meritage, D.R. Horton, these sorts of people are pretty efficient at turning out a house. But there's a lot more than just the sticks and bricks. You want it to be well located, and So that also is going to influence the cost of that.
Yeah. Well, that's good because you got a lot of houses you need to sell, but man, this is just a great shot in the arm for the economy, no doubt. We got a break right now. We'll continue the discussion on the other side of it, right? We got Gordon Thames, real estate developer, president of Arbor Properties, in the Element Wealth studio.
Come on, let's get on with the show.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. We're visiting with Gordon Thames, real estate developer, president of Arbor Properties, talking about the Hurricane Katrina, year 20 since it ravaged the Mississippi Gulf Coast, New Orleans as well. You know, what I remember, Gordon, is of course, with live television, even in 2005, being able to track this thing and immediately present satellite photos, just seeing that thing sitting out there so massive. I mean, just consumed the entire Gulf. And it's just kind of surreal to think, you just know it's a matter of a little bit of time before this thing moves north. And, man, it sure did. And what a powerful storm it was. But the good news is that we want to focus on is the coast has been built back better, bigger, I think more prosperous than ever before. And you're taking advantage of that with this new real estate development.
Yes, we're long-term believers in the coast. I mean, we have done nothing but increase the number of communities we've here. And I told somebody we first went there when the Biloxi Bell showed up and they legalized gambling.
Yeah.
But after you went through that thing with Katrina, I had a soldier got back from Iraq, gave me a hug, had tears in his eyes, said, "This is worse than anything he saw in Iraq."
Wow.
And it's hard to explain that to people that weren't there. But going through the process of rebuilding, I tell them that now my connection with the coast is much more of an emotional, almost like a home type thing. It's because you had to go through all that there, and I never imagined I'd ever have to do that.
That's incredible.
But it made me a better person, I'll say. But it, like you said, you probably don't want to sign up for the therapy twice, right?
Well, I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. Certainly you got something else on the boards. I know this is going to consume you. This is a big project.
Yes.
But knowing you and folks in your industry, they're very aggressive and always thinking about the next one, right?
Yes, we try to follow what I call a responsible growth strategy to our company, but the first tenet of what I call responsible growth is we have to grow. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily crazy and out of control growth, but we try to keep a healthy balance, and we're looking at a couple other opportunities on the coast.
Okay.
A couple of those aren't quite in hand yet, so but we don't intend to do anything but, Lord willing, continue to grow with the community there and build quality communities. And I think this, to me, the Great Southern right now is a fallow field. It sits right in the middle of the coast, and it's like a really pretty girl missing her front tooth. So I feel like once you put those great-looking homes in that neighborhood there, it's going to fill in the smile and just make it better.
The passing of the big, beautiful bill in Washington, do you see that as a positive for your industry, for the economy in general? Is there some impact there, or really not? Really doesn't change much?
Well, I'm not as up on the details as I have been, but I noticed that the economy still seems to be doing well. It didn't go into recession like people were predicting. And so to the degree that our country does well and prospers, I think it's like, what do they say, a rising tide in the harbor lifts all boats. So that's kind of how I'm viewing it. Yeah,
it appears to be. Is there anything, Gordon, you'd like to see our state government do that would benefit you and your industry, or just thoughts overall?
Well, I think the governor's a great man, great guy, and so I don't have a lot of complaints in our industry. As a builder developer, we'd like permitting to be about a 2-hour process and cost us a dime, right?
Yeah,
so
sure. That's always seems to be the big hurdle, though.
Yeah,
the permitting.
It is, and it takes time, and that's what this project. Think about the Great Southern really went down, and Katrina never recovered, and we've been working on getting through the hoops and whatnot for about 3 years now. Obviously, if that could be shortened to maybe 2 years, we'd already be a year out of the ground building.
Yeah.
So I don't think at some point we need to do what the regulators need to do, and we'll work cooperatively with them. But at some point it almost becomes a penalty on the community as well, because all that economic growth we were talking about, guess what's not happening while you have people just not expediting the permitting.
Well, and even though we certainly have our challenges here in Mississippi, it's my understanding is it's more streamlined and more favorable than many other states. I don't know how much experience you have in the other states, but it can be worse in the other states.
I would agree with you as much as it's like you'd always like to make it a little better and a little quicker, but compared to some other communities who have worked through, and I don't want to name them because it sounds like I'm slamming them, but yes, it's very streamlined, and our people actually love to come work in Mississippi because one of our sayings is Arbor where the living's easy, but compared to operating in a heavily regulated environment to a lighter one, we would say the living's pretty easy in Mississippi as well.
Well, I think just witnessing what's going on in California, right, with trying to rebuild the Malibu area and all that the fire took out, it just seems like they're running into all kinds of roadblocks with the permitting process.
No, I think so. My father told me when I was a young man, don't get so open-minded that you look down and you see your brain rolling down the sidewalk. And sometimes I wonder about on that left coast out there. I know they all have purposes, and I didn't come here to have a political discussion of that. But, yes, I think that at a time you need to rebuild, you ought to be finding ways to try to help people to rebuild.
Yeah. Seems that to be the case, but I think we're fairly blessed here in Mississippi to have a fairly business-friendly regulatory environment and permitting process. I've heard lots of positive feedback about that.
I would agree. I think we're very blessed, and there's a lot of reasons I love Mississippi, and that's one of them is that, in my view, they're more sensible and a little bit ahead of most other states that we work in that regard. So I couldn't agree with disagree with the word you were saying there.
Yeah. So overall, our state, our economy seems to be doing well, and I got to think that you wouldn't have made this investment if you didn't feel confident that there are going to be consumers, buyers out there, customers out there to buy these properties that have the means to do so.
No, I do feel like that you've got all along the Gulf Coast, there's a continual migration of people seeking a little better quality of life, better weather. Some of them are retirees. We've heard them called snowbirds, other names. But when you have a good quality of life, I think it just attracts people.
Yeah. Well, I always feel like, honestly, Gordon, we have a really good story to tell in Mississippi about that. We just got to be a little better at telling it.
No, I agree with you there, too, because, frankly, when we build a project in Florida and you build one here, they're the same building, but the processes, like you say, are different. But pretty much you're getting the same thing, but you get a lot more for your money in Mississippi.
Interesting.
In my opinion.
Okay. Well, you would know. I mean, that's of all the major purchases a person makes or a family makes, that certainly buying a home is number one, tops the list.
I think most people's budgets that are sensible, rent or their mortgage is probably number one on their list.
Yeah. And so we have also a reasonable tax environment, and that's improving now with passing legislation that will phase out our income tax. It seems like it would certainly make our state even more attractive.
I think it'll make it a lot more attractive to people retiring that have money. I think Florida's had great success with that, in that most of their migration in the past 3 or 4 years has been from people that are bringing a lot of money with them.
Yeah.
Because they ditch the house in Chicago or wherever, and they show up, and so when you're bringing in people, you'd rather bring in those people than people who don't have great things on their mind or something like that.
Tired of bearing the cost of those high dang taxes that they have in those states, and that's why so many have left, moved into Florida, Tennessee, Texas as well, and we got to include Mississippi on that list with the low tax burden we have here.
I don't disagree with that. It's worked very well for those states, particularly the state of Florida, and I just think at some point we get in that game and you'll see more people that have a little something to bring with them, which then they can afford to buy that home that might be just a little bit
Agree. And if they can,
nicer and up in price.
Oh yeah, and if they can, that means they're buying lots of other stuff too. They got to buy furniture and drapes, and they're going to buy vehicles and spend a lot of money in the local economy.
Absolutely, eat out at a nice restaurant, all that stuff.
But they got to have a place to live to start with.
That's exactly right. And whether they're starting or moving up, we'll do our best to help them.
Well, it's great that you were investing that way and helping to develop the Mississippi Gulf Coast, no doubt. I think it's again one of those things that people that have never been there and they observe it, witness it firsthand when they visit, they're pretty blown away. Many of them, I know from that Cruising the Coast event, will decide they're just going to take up their residence there after they visit it for the first time.
Absolutely. You can, as a retiree, your dollar goes so much further and you enjoy a really nice quality of life. Whereas if the further south you go in Florida, that's not really available.
Well, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah. Gordon, appreciate you coming in and telling that story, man. And again, congratulations on your success. And I want to extend my thanks to you for believing in Mississippi and investing. It's a really good deal you got going on there. Appreciate it, man.
Well, thank you. And I'm pleased and honored to be invited back on your show again.
You bet. Gordon Thames, real estate developer, president of Arbor Properties, has been our guest in the